Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and today it is time for a top level match of professional StarCraft 2. It's time for a Zerg versus Protoss, and we find ourselves on Thunderbird. Spawning here in the southeast corner of the map, playing with the red Zerg drones. He's from Finland. People call him the Finisher, the Finnish Phenom. They also call him the Night King, although unlike the Night King, this man actually lives up to his name. He's the current world champion of StarCraft. Of course, we're looking inside of the main base of Serral. And his opponent in the opposite corner, a channel favorite. Easily the strongest player from the United States of America, also the most successful player in the USA. We have none other than Neeb. Alrighty guys, so here we go. This is a top level match that was recently played as part of WCS Summer. Now of course this is such a high profile match. I did end up watching it live myself as well, but I didn't get to check out all of the details yet. And I know this is an awesome game, so I figured let's go ahead and watch it together once again and have a look at all of the minute details that both of these players are going for. Alrighty, a little bit of a cheeky play right there by Neeb. Sending out a probe so early that it can actually block the hatchery right here on the low ground. Forcing Serral right now to take his third as his very first expansion. Generally speaking, not that big of a deal. I mean, this is one of the things that top level Zerg players are totally fine with. It's just gonna make it a little bit more difficult once the first adept gets across the map. I mean, it might not necessarily be a fast adept play, but that's one of the things that Serral needs to figure out right now, right? He doesn't know exactly what's coming, and this is just annoying because Zerglings without speed are gonna have a hard time catching up with the adept. If you were to take your natural right over here, obviously the creep is going to make life a little bit easier, and in this case you're probably going to have to be producing an additional set of Zerglings just in case that adept moves across. So that's the reason why this Overlord immediately rerouted right here to the natural. It was doing a little bit of scouting around, trying to figure out if maybe there were some proxy gateways going up, but right now though he should figure out indeed that this is going to be a pretty normal timed cybernetics core. Alright, so Stalker actually is going to be the first order of business here for Neeb. This is a pretty recent development in ZVP. Not so much at the level that I play at. I mean, I've got some people asking every once in a while. I think I'm right around like top 750 or so in the world right now. So I play at a decently high level, but I'm nowhere near as good as these guys. At my level, everyone still goes adept first. However, this is one of the things that we've been seeing a lot at the top level of play. Because the opposing player is so good at dealing with that very first adept, even when you force out the third base, it's almost pointless going for the adept first. So a lot of pros have been going for the stalker first instead, just to deny that scouting information, and that right now in turn is forcing out the nematized carapace. So it's these really small details where they're trying to obtain small little edges here and there, because Serral right now, he's not going to get any kind of additional scouting information if he does not go for the Overlord speed upgrade. Especially with that Stargate coming up right now. Is it going to be a Phoenix first? An Oracle? We'll find out here in a sec. Hey, by the way, is this... Ah, yeah. I didn't quite catch this, but it's actually Overlord speed first. So this is another really recent development, actually. I believe it was Lambo who started doing this as one of the very first players. Basically, you skip Zergling speed entirely until you start up the Overlord speed upgrade. And this will, even when it's a Phoenix opener, still give you full scouting information. Obviously, if this was going to be like double adepts, you'd be in a world of trouble. And speaking of adepts, it looks like this one right here managed to get 2 of those worker kills. Nicely done there. Zerglings patrolling back and forth, trying to catch anything that might be moving out of the main, but it turns out the adept already made its way past that defense line, and well, 2 worker kills obviously is still very, very solid. And right now, when you do go for that quick Overlord speed upgrade as well, you actually are able to get these Overlords out of there. So normally you'd lose both Overlords right here against that Phoenix. Right now he's going to be able to get these Overlords out of there, or at the very least, go back in and scout once again. It's funny because some people ask Lowko, what's like the most recent build order in like Zerg versus Terran? And honestly, when it comes to like the details, ooh, I was gonna say that could actually be painful. But when it comes to the details, not a whole lot has changed, or rather when it comes to like the broad strokes of a build order, right? Not a whole lot has changed in really like the last 3 years. However, players are now getting much better at figuring out these small little edges. And you can see right here, I'm definitely favoring the opener here for Neeb, getting himself a whole lot of worker kills, and actually uncharacteristically he's got to take a lot of damage. Serral, that is. Serral, generally speaking, is extremely good when it comes to the defensive play. Right now, he's also going to have to deal right here with the Oracle, who's immediately target firing the Queen. Multiple Queens, though, are going to join in as well to make sure that she lives. But 6 workers here in the early game, I think that's a very good trait. If you have a look right here at the units lost, only 2 Adepts going down in favor of 8 drones, and then 2 Overlords as well. Now, because of Thunderbird, Neeb is able to take a really quick third base. So, to put it in perspective, I think this third base was taken around 4 minutes and 10-ish seconds. On a so-called, like, quote-unquote standard map, we see Protoss players taking their third base around 5 minutes into the game. So, not only did Neeb deal a whole bunch of damage, he also managed to safely grab himself that third Nexus here. Because of that big ramp right here, that's really the only entrance point other than these mineral patches over here, but they have to be mined away first. I still want to see a game, and I haven't seen one yet, but I still want to see a game where, like, Zerg makes 1,000,000 Zerglings. When Protoss walls it right here, right, at the top of the ramp. When Zerg makes 1,000,000 Zerglings, then brings 2 drones across, mines this one, mines that one, and then just flood the Zerglings in. I've never seen a build like that before. I really want to see it, because I feel like it would be such an easy counter to this, but I must be missing something, right? No one ever attacks with drones, though. I genuinely think it's a really cool build. I've even seen some players go for really cheeky ones where they first, like, scout with a drone, and then they go for, like, the gas geyser over here. Then they send in a drone, one of them, mine minerals, put it into the gas geyser, that gets rid of the minerals. Then when it comes out with gas, it puts it back onto the minerals, and that way you can quickly mine it out as well. It's a bit of a cheeky one. I've seen someone do that once, and then the build completely failed, but yeah, I really want to see that at the high level, see if you can break through that. Anyways, it is going to be that quick bailing nest right here, and also actually a really quick infestation pit. So it looks like Serral is going to go for the good old Hydraling Bane style, and he's going to need some of those bailings as well if he wants to deal with these charge slots. Charge finishing up here in a second, +1 melee also finishing up here in a second for Neeb. Or I guess +1 ground weapons. Very, very helpful. Makes these zealots significantly stronger. Allows them to hit Zerglings and then just kill them in one hit. Well, I mean, they attack twice in one hit, right? So they attack with 2 of those blades at once. And otherwise, without upgrades, they take 3 of those slices in order to kill Zerglings. So that's a really big upgrade. Here we go. Is there going to be enough right here for Serral to actually be in a favorable position? 4th base already forced to get cancelled. +2 is now starting up as well. So Serral apparently feeling pretty comfortable that he's going to be just fine. Yeah, look at that. This is Neeb mostly just soft containing the opponent here. He might even look to go up towards the 4th Nexus himself, but considering Serral starting up +2 and then also the bailing speed upgrade, I'd be very surprised if he's going to take too much damage here. I mean, he must feel confident that he's going to be just fine. He's actually now mining out these mineral patches over here too. One brave warrior of ire is scouting that out. A drone once again trying to move over towards that 4th base location, and it looks like Serral will be able to acquire it once more. Bit of a tricky scenario right now though for Serral, right? I mean, it's definitely been Neeb who's in charge of the state of the game right now. Obviously, he needs to be cautious, but since Neeb is now going to be able to grab himself that 4th base relatively uncontested, I mean, maybe he can get something done, Serral that is, once he finishes up all of these upgrades, but I think by the time that happens, I mean, that 4th is going to be done. Unless these Zerglings manage to get the council, but that would be insane. Now, that 4th is going to be done. The speed upgrade right here, or rather the storm upgrade right here for the High Templar is going to be finishing up as well. Really liking this position here for the United States Protoss player. Look at all of those gas-heavy units. I mean, other than the Zealots. I know I joke about it every once in a while, but really, like, it seems like in the late game, right? Starting right now, basically what Protoss is trying to do is make the gas-heavy units. Just make whatever costs the most gas. It's a pretty good playstyle. Drop whatever you have on Zealots, if you have leftover minerals, and do counterattacks with those. But whatever you do not lose your gas-heavy units. Just try and build up your gas-heavy army. One Immortal, apparently, going on a bit of a party by itself. Don't know exactly what it's trying to achieve there. Regardless, that Oracle from earlier still being a nuisance. A couple of Zealots right here on the northern section of the map as well, and I think that maybe Neeb is looking to get something done. Now, there's one Dropper Lord over here. It doesn't have anything in it. But yeah, okay, so the Zealots are going to try and see if they can get something done. These right over here, though, will be met with resistance at the same time. The Zealots on the right-hand side of the map also met with resistance. They're going to at the very least get one Queen for the troubles and also take some of those Bailing hits. But speaking of Bailings, Serral is getting a whole lot more of those. This is just straight up Hydraling Bane right now. A very scary unit composition. The thing is, Archon Immortal Zealot Storm should be okay against it. It all comes down to those Psionic Templar and then also to where those Banelings connect. And generally speaking, with Perfect Micro, it's going to be the Protoss player who's going to be okay. Although now the Banelings, though, they're trying to get some juicy connections. 9 probes end up going down in the blink of an eye. But it looks like the Zerg once again decides to retreat as Zerglings and then those Hydras and Banelings were also needed to defend at home against those Zealot run-bys. +3 coming up, so a Hive was taken here by Serral, who now also transitions towards a Greater Spire. Still though, this Protoss army does not slow down, right? I mean, even though, yeah, a couple of probes were killed there, very manageable. Oh my god, beautiful. Did you see that? Purposefully connecting on the top and bottom first and then creating a funnel to storm through. One of the Archons, though, does still end up dying there, but Serral is going to be forced to back up here for sure. While the Greater Spire is morphing in, we also see a Fleet Beacon coming up here for Neeb. He's going to be able to grab himself those Tempest, maybe the Carriers, and obviously also the Mothership. Banelings once again trying to get brave. They wanted to move forward to try and see if they could roll into the mineral line. Looks like now instead they might go after the Nexus here, if there's a Nexus. Oh, no, there's no Nexus. So apparently he's not going to go ahead and pick that one up. But this game is now slowing down to a bit of a trickle, right? Once again, though, those Banelings... Oh my god, no way. Is he actually going to get something done with those? Nah, it looks like they're going to be defended just fine. Ugh. +2 Banelings, though. Yeah, if you get +2 melee upgrades, they do one-shot probes. So that's actually a very nice little move there by the Zerg player. Anyways, this game seems to be slowing down as both players, yeah, they're still maneuvering on the map and they're trying to get angles on their opponent, but both players right now are transitioning towards that real late-game focused army. I mean, they don't have to, but considering there's a Fleet Beacon, considering there's a Greater Spire coming, this should be a game where both players want to transition. Still, though, a really scary Protoss push. Trying to bait out all of those Banelings, but there's so many of them. Beautiful engagement right here by Serral. Neeb overstepping a little bit, moving on to the creep, and now the Banelings right here at the southern part of that fight as well. Completely shut down, and all of a sudden, right, even though Neeb thought he was in a wonderful spot, he gets himself absolutely shut down. That was a push that was supposed to counter Great Aspire units. That was a push that was supposed to hit right when Brute Lords were morphing in. But it turns out Serral read that situation perfectly, and he's like, you know what? I don't think you're actually gonna go for any of those units just yet. I'm just gonna delay them for a little while. I can go and make them right now. I'll just wait for your push and defend it with Hydraling Bane. And this is because of that immaculate scouting that the finisher is always going for, right? Look at that guy. He's just always having an Overseer out. Like, there's not a lot of things that separate the top-of-the-line pro gamers from, like, people that are really good at the game. It's all these really small things that add up, right? And one of them is scouting. I mean, I find myself, I play a lot of Zerg, as some of you might know. I find myself not scouting nearly as much anymore at this point in the game because you need so many actions, right? Look at this. Serral averaging actions, or 433 actions a minute in this game, but he's spiking up right here to 500-600s, which means that he's pressing, well, I'm not going to do the math, but he's pressing like 10 buttons a second, right? Yeah, you gotta play very fast in order to stay up to speed right here with what Protoss is doing. Neeb right now, though, going for his dream army composition, right? This is what I think happens when Neeb is sleeping. Alright, Nexus does get picked off, but I think when Neeb is sleeping, he's probably dreaming of, like, High Templar, Carriers, +3 weapon upgrades, a Mothership, maybe a couple of Tempest, Zealot run-bys, Warp Prison, that kind of thing, right? And that's what he's building up right now. A lot of these Carriers are currently being built. In the meantime, though, Serral is going back to the 2012 meta of StarCraft 2, where Brute Lord Infestor was the name of the game. Obviously, it's developed a lot, but Brute Lord Infestor, once again, an extremely powerful composition. About a half year ago, they upgraded the Infestor's neural range from 7 to 9, which doesn't sound super significant, but since no one was using Neural Parasite, they figured, you know what, we're just gonna make it a little bit stronger. It now, once again, is being used quite a bit, and Infestors are looking extremely powerful in this matchup. So there we go, Neural Parasite coming up as well. We see the Greater Spire now upgrading the flyer attacks for the Zerg. And Protoss is obviously now going for more and more of those upgrades as well, even going for the shield upgrades in the Forge, building 3 Carriers at once. And this is an army that is gonna have to clash with the opponent. And that big clash is gonna have to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna dance around each other for a little while. which is usually what happens. Both players really want to fight. I mean, Zerk wants to fight with the Spore Crawlers present. He wants to fight on creep if he can. In the meantime, obviously, Neeb is trying to do exactly the opposite. He's now actually getting a bit of a rough spot because these mineral patches were never mined out. A little bit of luck right there for Serral. I don't think that was intended, right? Maybe. I shouldn't say luck. I mean, luck makes it sound like he got lucky. There's no way. Serral obviously ridiculously good. But I think he sent a couple of drones over there and they happened to mine these 3 mineral patches rather than the ones that were available in like a line, right? So I guess it's actually 4, but yeah, no, they could have actually mined the other ones right over there as well. Maybe he did that on purpose though. That would be the sickest 200 IQ move right there. All right, so our mothership is right now also coming up. We see Corruptors +2. Both players really building up that really scary force. Now, I love this from Neeb, by the way. Most of the Protoss players, even at like a really high level, when they play that late game Skytoss army, they sit back until they're maxed out. And Neeb has been roaming this map like a champ the whole time, right? And what the end result of that is not so much a lot of damage. I mean, he's killed a couple bases here and there, and he's done a little bit of work. But look at the creep spread right now. I mean, the creep spread is by no means bad, but against a weaker Protoss player, I can guarantee you that Serral would have had the creep pretty much all over the map, right? He would have definitely covered the whole center section. And because Neeb has been so active without really overcommitting at any point, he's been absolutely killing it. Right now, also splitting up the carriers. Who splits up carriers? No one ever splits up carriers. It's really clever. Finally, that Dropper Lord, by the way, coming into play. Loading up a couple of those Hydralisks. I think this is going to be mostly unscouted for the time being, and I guess there's one way of bypassing those shield batteries and those photon cannons. Once again, though, dude, he's got 2 squads of carriers. That's so cool. Still, a lot of static defense is set up, though, but how do you defend against this if you're Zerg? Alright, so the Hydralisks are going to drop out of that 1 Overlord, or 2 of them, actually. And he's going to send another 2 towards, I guess, the natural? I'm not entirely sure what the plan is. The carriers, though, they don't want to have any of that. Nice move there by Serral, but yeah, he tried to burrow both of them, and then, well, there was an observer scouting exactly what was going on up above, which obviously was not something he could see. Anyway, so both players building up towards that really scary late game unit composition. Right now, look at this. Have you ever seen a dark shrine? I mean, I can't properly get an angle on it, but have you ever seen a dark shrine right there with little flames coming out of it? I didn't even know that that was a thing either. It's called Shadow Stride. I mean, I knew the upgrade, obviously, but I never realized it had little flames coming out of the top. Shadow Stride essentially is what gives Dark Templar blink. When they first announced that upgrade, everyone was like, no way, Lowko, the game is gonna be broken. It turns out, well, it's an expensive upgrade, and more importantly, it takes like 2.5 hours to research, give or take. Okay, it's more like 2 minutes, but in StarCraft terms, that's a very long time, and because of that, we usually don't see it coming into play until much later. Although I've actually seen on this map especially, right? If these like mineral patches aren't mined, I've seen Protoss players blink from like one side to the other side and then just kill this base. Because when you think about it, right? The longer that the game goes on, the closer the players get in bases because they have to move towards the center of the map. At the beginning of the game, they're basically forced to start off in their own little corner, but the longer the game goes, the more they walk away from their safety of their bases, and usually that's because, you know, that's kind of the reason why those Dark Templar can get some work done as well. Just looking for a prism that's not even there. It's these little moves, guys. I mean, once again, it doesn't look significant, but he sends out one of those Corruptors just in case there's a prism. That prism, if it was there, it would have died 100%, right? Now, it's not there, obviously, but it's these little moves that happen to catch units. And it's just, yeah, it's one of those things that changes the pace of the game entirely. There we go. The Dark Templar do make their way across those minerals. And that means that this base is in a little bit of trouble. Then again, though, there's very little mining here remaining anyway. Only about 500 gas in total. The real threat for Serral is right over here. Ooh! He tried to get the Neural Parasite. Didn't manage to get a Fungal Growth. Ooh, actually, you know what? How does this actually work? Oh? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, what happens? So, let me get this straight, right? So, the recall was initiated before the mothership got neuraled. And obviously, it's the Nexus that's doing the recalling. So, yeah, that actually, if... I don't know actually what happens. What happens if you use the recall on the mothership itself, and then you get neuroparasited? Is it still gonna go off? I'm assuming it does. Anyways, that was the Nexus ability, so it's a little bit different. Guys, this game is like 10 years old, and we still don't know half of it, it feels like. There's still things that are being figured out all the time. Anyways, Serral tried to get some juicy neuroparasites there. He did manage to get them in the end, but not before getting a whole lot of those infestors hit as well. Once again, neuroparasite actually picking up, I guess, 2 of those carriers right now at the same time. Ooh, nicely done. Serral's also dealing with the Dark Templar that are trying to go into the main base, and that's actually a really expensive group of units. No detection inside of the main, though. He's trying to body block some of these. At the same time, the infested Terrans picking up as much as they possibly can, and it looks like this base might actually be in a little bit of trouble. Also, though, Protoss is now moving in with that hit squad right here in the center of the map, trying to pick up some of these spore crawlers. That really is the line of defense. Once again, fungal growth, forcing this Protoss player to back off. Looks like the units in the main base were cleaned up as well. Look at the multitasking here, man. Insane, right? Look at that. Look at that. 700 actions a minute. Someone do the math, please. I think 700 actions a minute, right? If 600 actions a minute is 10 actions a second, it would be like 12 buttons-ish. A little bit less. Anyways, math and a YouTube video at the same time. I know. Professional alert. No, but seriously, like, doing math in a YouTube video, I found it out real quick. I probably messed up somewhere along the way. I'll probably read it in the comments, and then I think, oh my god, Lowko, you're such an idiot. But seriously, like, math in YouTube videos, not a very good situation to be in. By the way, Serral did secure this base right over here, which is the riskiest base to get. These extractors are high-yield extractors. That's why they're purple. Some people have dubbed it Terrazine, which I always kind of liked. Basically, these probes, or these drones right here, they return 8 gas per trip, rather than the usual 4. That's huge! Gas is really the main name of the game right now. Zerg trying to get something done there. 17 probes end up going down. And while once again... Dude, this is amazing. I love this. So every single Protoss player I've ever seen play carriers, right? They always leave the carriers in one big clump. Not Neeb, though. Really cool. I mean, maybe he should, but... Here come the Zerg. Once again, we see the neuroparasite going down, fungal growth, and then also the infested Terrans are going to be more than enough. That carrier is going to be toast. At the same time, though, Neeb has got the majority of his army on the other side of the map. He's trying to see if he can catch the Zerg player off guard, but getting Serral out of position is very difficult. A couple of fungals do move forward, a couple of infested Terrans are sprayed as well. And the base right here in the northern section of the map falls. While this is all going on, though, Neeb obviously did reacquire the base here on the left-hand side. Now even going for the base here in the bottom left. This is actually one of the expansions that Zerg is not very likely to check for, especially with, like, the maneuvering. Okay, I say that. Dude, look at this! Are you kidding me? I just said this is not a base he's likely to check for. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, well, I'll just stop talking, guys. I'll just commentate this game from here on out in action sounds. Neeb once again sneaking in a couple of those Dark Templar. Even though he didn't have any vision here, I guess he may have noticed it there because of that spore crawler that they walked by. Yeah, okay. Cleans that up too. Wonderful work. So if you have a look right here at units lost, right? Yeah, this is the real story of the game right here. So Neeb has been throwing units at the opponent left and right. And they've never really gotten that much done because Serral is like playing against a wall, right? Like, once again, a couple of zealots go down, but that was at the cost of pretty much nothing there for Zerg. And the amount of resources lost just adds up over time. Since Serral is mining a very healthy amount of resources as well, in the long run, he's in a beautiful position. It just comes down to dealing with this massive, massive Protoss army. Once again, the Nexus right here being acquired. Actually, 2 Nexi right now. At the same time, though, we see the Zerg squad moving across the map, using neuroparasites, using infested Terrans, using those fungal growths as well. Storm does go down, so I think that this carrier rather will probably live. A couple of more infested Terrans will try and see if they can get something done. But look at the creep spread, right? Now that Neeb has been focusing his attention on the left-hand side of the map, which is great because this is where he can secure bases, immediately Serral grabs that opportunity to spread creep everywhere and then to put down a ton of those spore crawlers. Because of those spore crawlers, it's extremely difficult for Neeb to engage. He's been looking for an angle all this time, and yes, he's gotten some damage done over here, but those bases are pretty much all mined out, right? Serral doesn't really care too much about those bases anymore, and any attack path that the Zerg or the Protoss player can go for right now is covered with a bunch of those spores. So every single interceptor that right now takes like I don't know, 11 seconds to rebuild, it takes forever, right? You can't really take that commitment very much, because if you run out of interceptors, you're gonna be vulnerable for like a minute and a half while they rebuild. Here we go. Ooh. Time Warp's going down. Time Warp's nowadays obviously slowing down units, but also slowing down the attack speed. Essentially forcing Serral to immediately go back home. At the very least, back off for a little bit. Time Warp's gone now, though. That Mothership is going to be very low on energy. This right here is really only being mined here for the gases. That's pretty cool as well. I like that a lot. Once again, okay. The Greater Spire does fall. Once again, a couple of Dark Templar move in. The thing is, does he really care about Greater Spire units right now? I mean, how many Brute Lords does he have? He's got 8 Brutes. 8 Brutes is kind of like the sweet spot. There's not that many units here on the ground anyway. But here we go. Protoss apparently feeling brave. He wants to move forward. Massive fungal growth right there on the Interceptors. But since fungal nowadays slows down and doesn't just halt units in place anymore, it's not that big of a deal. Zerglings managed to make their way towards one of those newly acquired bases. Neeb also has this one taken over here, and he's actually mining a lot. At the same time, a Dark Templar in the top right-hand corner. Both players multitasking like absolute champs. Every time there's a Dark Templar, I feel like there's a hit squad of units already on their way. It's like he can see the units that are there. Alright. Neeb's army is maxed out. Serral's army is maxed out as well. At that point, a lot of the game is decided by the bank, right? So look at the amount of resources that are left over right now. Neeb is sitting at roughly like 7,000 resources in total. Serral is sitting on roughly 17,000 of resources. Math again, I know. But yeah, the bank right here heavily in favor of Serral. If he loses any of those units, he will remake them easily. He will remake them in a heartbeat. Plus, Neeb still has not been able to find that angle that he's looking for. A couple of the carriers right now apparently are going to be the reason to deal with these Zerglings. Still though, these Zerglings are going to get a lot of kills on their way out. A couple of photon cannons are being set up, and I like this a lot. So Neeb is trying to get that economy advantage that he's been looking for the entire game long. At the same time, once again, a group of Hydralisks moving right here on the right-hand side. A hit squad of drones clearing out some of these mineral patches as well. And that's not going to force the majority of that Protoss army to move back home. The Archons obviously aren't going to be able to walk into the base, so I guess the flying units are going to be the ones in control here of the engagement. That now opens up the opportunity for Serral to potentially get a huge set of neuroparasites. Once again, 2 of those carriers get picked off. The Corruptor swoop in. The Infested Terrans target fire it down as well, and that's going to be the end for that carrier. And then the other one as well, obviously. Still though, Neeb has a good amount of income. It's just that I'm worried for this advancement here of the Zerg. Oh, Fungal Growth's trying to get a good engagement. Once again, a Neuroparasite. That one's gonna go down on the Archon. Neuroparasite right there on one of those carriers too. We see a massive amount of Infested Terrans now joining the fray. Storm is gonna have to clean those up. Beautiful storms there by Neeb, getting rid of a majority of those as well. But still, there's gonna be so many Infestors on the back of this, and they're just simply gonna continue spraying those Infested Terrans as well. Big blink forward by those Stalkers trying to target fire down those Brute Lords, but there's just simply so much Zerg remaining on the ground. Look at the amount of damage that this Zerg player is doing right now. The Brute Lords trying to get something done as well. Only a handful of them remain, but they are mostly the ones here in charge of dealing with the ground army. Now, apparently Neeb decides to transition out of this by going for additional Stalkers. Whenever I see Stalkers coming up at this point in the game, I'm a little bit worried. I guess they have a lot of mobility, so they're gonna have an easier time picking up some of these bases. But still, this is a maxed out Zerg army with 3/3 upgrades and also Adrenal Glands, right? Just pure Zerglings would easily pick this off. The Hydras apparently, they're trying to get something done before they will die. Well, apparently they burrow. Fair enough. Actually, there's no observer here. But this is not really an army composition that you want to be at in the late game, right? Neeb completely run out of money. Serral is just simply gonna have to defend against this aggression. The Zerglings apparently are now running towards, I guess, the counterattack, so they're gonna try and see if they can get something done on the other side of the map. Once again, a massive engagement. So many Infestors remain trying to get something done. They burrow on the ground as well, use their Neuroparasites while burrowed, and we burrowed, well, I can't even talk anymore. We see the Zerglings swooping in as well, surrounding those Stalkers, surrounding the leftover ground units, and in a very clean game, Serral is the one who obtains the victory. So, I brought it up in my most recent balance update video that went up just a couple of days ago. I'll go ahead and post a link to it in the top right-hand corner of this video right now if you want to go ahead and check it out. But I bring up that the Infestor might be a little bit too strong. So let's think about this for a second, right? This is the reason why we see such minute details coming up at the highest level of play. So first off, apparently they're going to reduce the amount of damage that the Infested Terrans deal to air units, which makes a lot of sense in my opinion. And then secondly, they're also changing the way that those carriers build their interceptors. They're going to be from 11 seconds to 9 seconds. All of that doesn't sound significant, but I do think it would come in massively into this game right here. Because the Infestor, right? It's funneling the army so it can't retreat. It's bringing forth the main source of anti-air damage for Zerg, which is the Infested Terran. I mean, that's just the unit of choice that he went for right here, but it's extremely versatile. Plus, it then also has the Neural Parasite that just simply deals so much damage there as well. Because all of a sudden, those Protoss units fight for the Zerg. It's pretty intense. I do think that in general right now, the Infestor is a little bit too powerful, but even with a couple of nerfs, I don't think Serral would really be all too affected here. Because look at the amount of bank that he's still got available, right? At this point in the game, after Neeb has been completely bled dry, Serral is still sitting on just over 13,000 resources. An extremely patient play here from both players, trying to just simply play it slowly and methodically. But the Finnish Phenom, once again, turns out to be too powerful. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. If you enjoy the content a lot and you want to support me directly, the easiest way to do so is Patreon. That's patreon.com/LowkoTV. I've been releasing exclusive videos on there as well as other perks. Go ahead and have a look at my page if you're interested. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.